The fight between Moses Itauma and Dillian Whyte has become one of the most talked about and polarizing matchups in British boxing. On paper, it's a collision between two very different stages of a career: a 20-year-old rising powerhouse with blistering speed and frightening confidence, and a 37-year-old battle-tested veteran whose best days might be behind him, but who still carries fight-ending power. The venue is the O2 in London, and the anticipation is fueled not just by the fight itself, but by the strong, often brutal opinions from some of the most respected voices in the sport. Johnny Nelson, former world champion and one of Sky Sports' most outspoken analysts, wastes no time in making his position clear. Speaking about Dillian Whyte's situation, he says bluntly that this is a nightmare fight for Whyte. Nelson points out that Whyte is coming into the bout with no recent form or meaningful activity in the ring. He contrasts this with Moses Itauma, who has youth, energy, movement, and the ability to run rings around an opponent. Nelson warns that a 20-year-old with those physical tools and confidence is dangerous for anyone, especially a fighter who has been inactive. He compares it to his own career, saying that even if he got in the ring with a completely inexperienced fighter, youth and energy can sometimes be too much to handle. His message is clear: experience alone might not be enough for Whyte to deal with Itauma's attributes. From the promoter's side, Eddie Hearn offers his own charged perspective. Hearn talks about Moses as if he's the next unstoppable force in boxing, praising his long and decorated amateur career. He describes Itauma as someone who has been in the game a long time despite his age, and who is being built like a future world champion before the fight has even happened. Hearn's tone suggests that this isn't just promotion, it's genuine belief that Moses has the goods to dominate. But the underlying question remains: is this hype building Moses up for a star-making performance, or setting him up for the biggest shock of the year if Whyte pulls off the upset? Adam Catterall and Simon Jordan, both well known for their blunt takes on TalkSport, acknowledge the financial magnitude of the fight, but also its stakes for Moses. They say that the cash is flowing and that the bout will be a huge cash generator, but stress that the real prize is for Moses to prove he's more than hype. If he delivers under the bright lights, they say, this could be the night his superstardom is sealed. Catterall and Jordan frame it as a high-risk, high-reward moment, win convincingly, and Moses steps into the top tier of the heavyweight conversation. Trainer Dave Coldwell breaks down the fight tactically, especially from Whyte's perspective. He says Whyte has to shut down Moses' speed before it becomes a nightmare. According to Coldwell, Whyte must land something early to gain Moses' respect, and he needs to go to the body, a trademark of Whyte's, who is nicknamed the Body Snatcher. Coldwell stresses that Whyte cannot afford to bite on Itauma's feints and has to invest in body work to take away Itauma's sharpness. But he warns that even before you trap a fighter like Moses, you might be the one walking into a knockout punch. Moses Itauma himself doesn't shy away from making bold predictions. He has declared publicly that he will knock Dillian Whyte out in the first or second round. Itauma's confidence is undeniable, but he also shows maturity by preparing for the full 10 rounds in training. He explains that even though most of his sparring sessions have been long 10-rounders, he still expects to start fast and try to finish early. His training camp, he says, has been designed for both scenarios. Itauma's mindset is that if he can get someone out in the first or second round, he will, but he won't rely on that. This combination of brash ambition and professional preparation is a key talking point in the build-up. Derek Chisora, the battle-hardened heavyweight who has fought nearly every big name of his era, adds his voice to the warnings. Chisora says he actually phoned Dillian Whyte to tell him not to take the fight. He describes Moses as on fire right now and getting better and better, stressing that Itauma is moving forward in his development, not backward. With his trademark dark humor, Chisora jokes that he has decided he was going to go to prison when Moses batters Whyte, a way of saying the beating could be so bad it feels criminal. Beneath the joke is genuine concern. Chisora has no promotional or personal reason to hype Moses unless he truly believes in the danger he poses. Even Tyson Fury, the self-proclaimed Gypsy King, can't resist weighing in. Fury goes as far as to call Moses Itauma one of the best heavyweights of all time in terms of potential. Fury talks about Moses' constant movement, noting that there is no rest with him in the ring. He references a conversation where Anthony Joshua admitted that when he faced Moses in sparring, it was the most exhausted he had ever been. According to Fury, this relentless pressure doesn't just drain stamina, it drains hope. Fury paints a picture of a fight where Whyte will have no safe moments to breathe, constantly having to deal with movement and attacks from different angles. Tony Bellew, former world champion and now a respected pundit, echoes the sentiment. Bellew states flatly that no one is going to beat Moses at the moment. He highlights Itauma's adaptability, saying that he has even adjusted his weight specifically for the Whyte fight. Bellew explains that Moses put on weight to slow his own feet slightly, because Whyte's previous opponent Daniel Dubois had slower feet, and Itauma wants to match the style that will exploit Whyte's weaknesses. To Bellew, this kind of strategic adjustment shows Moses is operating on another level. The tone of these expert opinions is ruthless. Many analysts are openly talking as if Whyte is being sacrificed like a lamb to build the profile of Moses Itauma. Some, like Nelson and Bellew, stop short of completely dismissing Whyte's chances, but the consensus among insiders is clear. Moses is the real deal, and Whyte is over the hill. This isn't just hype, it's a public acknowledgement from the old guard that the torch is about to be passed. Another pundit says directly that he believes Dillian Whyte will be tranquilized in the fight. He rejects the notion that Moses is just a hype job, insisting that Whyte's decline is real and that Moses has the talent to exploit it. This speaker, like others, frames the fight as a battle between an old head trying to defend his era and a new school fighter ready to take over. Moses' own confidence continues to grab headlines. In one interview, he states that he believes he has a better skill set than Alexander Usyk, the reigning unified heavyweight champion and one of the most technically gifted boxers of this era. Itauma admits, however, that in the later rounds Usyk might beat him due to superior experience, acknowledging that he has never been into deep championship rounds before. This kind of self-awareness is rare for such a young fighter and shows that Moses is already thinking about challenges beyond Whyte. Peter Fury, another respected trainer, gives a measured breakdown. He says Whyte has the experience, the size, and the punching power, but questions whether that will be enough to deal with Moses' speed, power, and use of angles. Fury points out that Itauma is sharp and deadly with his punches, and that his angles will make it difficult for Whyte's straight right hand to land cleanly. Every miss, Fury warns, will cost Whyte valuable energy. Liam Smith, the experienced super welterweight champion, gives perhaps the most direct verdict. Smith says he likes Dillian Whyte and respects what he's done, but he believes Moses wins and wins well. In his eyes, Whyte's best days are behind him, and Moses is a special talent. Smith's emphasis on winning, well, suggests he expects dominance, not just a narrow victory. Dave Allen, the heavyweight known for his own tough fights, also sides with Moses while still acknowledging Whyte's danger. Allen points out that inactivity is a major disadvantage in boxing, and Whyte has had long spells out of the ring. Against an active, sharp fighter like Moses, Allen believes that's a dangerous handicap. He does hedge slightly by saying no result would surprise me, because in heavyweight boxing one punch can change everything. Still, he ultimately picks Moses to win. Dillian Whyte, for his part, responds with defiance. He says he doesn't care what anyone says and will do what he wants regardless of public opinion. Whyte frames it as focusing on himself, his kids, and his family, dismissing critics as irrelevant idiots. This attitude is classic Whyte, brushing off outside voices and relying on his own belief. But the question remains whether this is stubborn confidence or dangerous denial. The warnings from people like Nelson, Chisora, and Smith are based on genuine assessment, not personal dislike. This fight, then, is more than just another date on the boxing calendar. It's a symbolic battle between the rising storm of Moses Itauma and the fading warrior in Dillian Whyte. If Moses wins, he won't just beat Whyte, he'll officially rip through a member of the old guard, cement himself as the next big thing, and send shockwaves through the heavyweight division. If Whyte pulls off the upset, it will be one of the most dramatic twists in recent memory, a reminder that grit and power can still humble youth and hype. Mentally, Moses looks like the predator, sharp, fearless, and convinced of his destiny. Whyte, though experienced, carries the air of a man fighting more than just an opponent. He's fighting against time, against doubt, and against the weight of public opinion. Every expert, fan, and rival is watching to see whether this will be Itauma's coronation or Whyte's rebirth. When the first bell rings, all the talk ends. Only the truth in the ring will remain. And so the question lingers for everyone watching. Will the young lion Moses Itauma tear through Whyte as so many experts predict, or will the veteran prove them wrong and shock the world? That's the drama that makes this fight irresistible.